All right, welcome back. We're back here with another Labor Day weekend one-on-one interview, the second one of the day. This is we're going to go offense this time. We're going to talk to Jaylen Tregle. Jaylen is a quarterback. I want to say dual threat. He is a dual threat, but more so a pocket passing type QB. He does show on film the ability to make plays with his legs and extend plays with his legs. So we'll kind of get into that here in the interview. But Jaylen comes to us after a kind of an up and down college journey. We'll let him talk about that. But he's had a chance to have brief stints in the NAI, the junior college ranks in the California Community Colleges Athletic Association, as well as the Division two level. And so, um, yeah, so we're going to get into that. Jaylen, you stand what, roughly 6'1", 6'2"?
Yeah, about 6'1", 6'2". You say that.
6'1", 6'2", about 220, I think.
220, 225, 220.
Okay. 6'1", 6'2", roughly 220-pound QB. And we were just sitting here before the interview, actually going through, trying to compile all these numbers and trying to find the stats for the different stops on your journey. And we were able to come up with the majority of those, I believe. And we'll really get into that. But Jaylen, I want to welcome you in. I know we did this once before, but I talked to you about wanting to redo this interview. I felt it could be better and more smoothly done. And so I appreciate you taking time out on Labor Day weekend to do this. How's your weekend been thus far? What's been going on since the Labor Day weekend kicked off?
Just chilling, just working out mostly. Sitting back a little bit, taking some time off of work to just relax my body as I finished out the workout week and spending time with the family now.
Okay, you and Dad got any kind of special plans for the rest of the weekend, or
Yeah, he's gonna barbecue tomorrow. He usually doesn't barbecue on Labor Day. We usually go out, but he's gonna barbecue tomorrow.
okay, all right. There's nothing wrong with that. Tomorrow's the actual official holiday, so barbecuing tomorrow is not a bad thing. Um, Talk to us a little bit. Let's just jump into the interview. Take us through. Obviously you've had kind of a rocky uh, college journey experience. Take us through that. Start with when you played high school ball, where you played at, and then take us through all the different stops on your journey, and kind of talk about each one and what led to the next destination, and bring us up to the present day where you are now.
Right. So I played high school ball at Salesian High School in Richmond, California. That was a great time. I had a pretty good career there. And I was invited to the Blue Gray All American Bowl and a few other things that allowed me to kind of showcase my talents after my high school career. And some things kind of fell through recruiting wise, but at the last minute, I was sought out after Southern Oregon University, and so I went there, spent some time there, really learned how to play quarterback for a lot of different systems at Southern Oregon, and learned a lot about kind of the college game and knowing how to like up my level of play. And I redshirted there and really sat behind an All American quarterback at NAIA level, and learned behind him. And I decided to go somewhere where I know I could get a lot of reps in and try to go at the highest level I can after that. So I came back to junior college. Through some connections, I knew some people at Contra Costa College. Though they were struggling as a program, I took a chance and thought that it'd be best to work out of Contra Costa. It was a tough time there. The program was going through a lot, everything from not having locker rooms to structural issues to not having buses at times. It was really a lot, but I met a lot of great people there. I unfortunately got injured twice there. The first time I played 3 games and tore my plantar fascia in my foot. And the second year, after the first game, I actually had osteitis pubis, a crazy growing injury, and I played out the rest of the year of what I could play on that injury. Um, Even though the statistics and the film didn't always show what was done that year, I think we did put together a lot of good highlight plays, not necessarily the best season. And so I was able to land a good amount of Division II offers. Unfortunately, going into COVID, though, as I was deciding to make a decision on one of the offers I got coming out of the spring semester, um, my dad unfortunately had to have open heart surgery. And so going into COVID and not knowing where things were going to be for schools and knowing that my dad was going to need a lot of help at home, I decided to take that year back, spend that year considering junior colleges weren't playing to kind of train and get ready to make a decision the upcoming year. And I decided to stay back and potentially go down to a school, Victor Valley College down in Southern California, for a coach that had coached me originally at Contra Costa as my offensive coordinator the first year. And right before I went down there, unfortunately, he got fired for some reasons that were unknown. And as I was basically going to make my trip down there, I had to scramble and find a program last minute going in midway through the summer of the 2021 junior college year. And I found Los Medanos, and Coach Scheib gave me an opportunity, even though they had their set starter, to come in and try to win some playing time throughout the year, and I did. Unfortunately, considering the seniors coming back, recruiting was a lot more close-ended than it was beforehand, and so I didn't land offers till the end of December, even though I was going to try to be a mid-year transfer. I got some opportunities, one of them being University of Fort Lauderdale, but a lot of the small schools as such, I ended up understanding that they were scams. So I decided to take another semester to open up my recruiting. And that's when Alderson Broaddus gave me the best opportunity I felt out of the other opportunities I had received in the spring, basically where school was pretty much paid for. And then I landed up at Alderson Broaddus, played 3 games. Played 2 games, got turf toe. And unfortunately, due to the structure of the school in West Virginia and its healthcare, I wasn't able to get an MRI on my turf toe. So we kind of just try to figure it out with pain tolerance and what I could do and try to play some more games throughout that year. And it didn't go too well for me. But this program had a lot of issues, and unfortunately it's shut down now. So a lot of my friends had to unfortunately find different places, but I decided to transfer before that happened, based off of rumors and things that I've heard. And I transferred to West Virginia Wesleyan College and spent the spring there. It was a really good time. Got to get a good amount of reps in the spring, and I was competing to be the starter. And unfortunately, I re-aggravated turf toe. And due to their training staff and what was going on there, I just didn't see it best for me to be in college anymore, trying to deal with nagging injuries that I felt like I could do with better with my own health care, and also pay then what I was going to have to pay then at West Virginia Wesleyan College, as opposed to having a full ride at Alderson Broaddus. It just didn't seem like it was worthwhile for me. So I decided, based off of putting my name in Euro players and getting the opportunities I was getting from pro teams in Europe, I decided to open up myself to being scouted and starting my professional journey.
Now, let's back up a minute. You talk about all the different stops, and obviously there was um, a lot of adversity that you had to go through. Having experienced all these different kinds of adversity, what did you find out about yourself through that process, as a person, as a football player? Talk about what you learned from that experience about yourself overall.
Yeah. Well, adversity is adversity. the one thing I learned about myself is that um, I really started to come into myself as a man, and I really started to understand more things about life in general, besides just football, and knowing that there's a lot more accountability that you can put on yourself, regardless of the circumstances and conditions, that can elevate you each and every place that you go. And so I think that's what I did and learned a lot, is to learn how to, in the midst of bad circumstances, to put more accountability on myself and understand what I could do right, and where I went wrong, so that I could elevate myself and not have anything hold have a strong hold on me, regardless of what happened.
Now, so that any coaches or scouts or GMs that might see this or are watching right now, just so they better understand some of the things that went on and some of your decisions. You talked about during COVID, taking some time and looking out for dad and kind of taking care of him. To help everybody understand the reasoning behind that decision, can you talk about, and I don't want to hit an area that touches a nerve or brings up bad, hurtful memories or anything like that. But can you talk about why that decision was so important to you at that time? What was the family situation, household situation like leading up to that really pushed you to think about making that decision that way? And I guess what I'm referring to is the fact that you lost your mother early on in life, and so obviously that had a big effect on your reasoning and your decision process during the COVID period and things that were going on with college football. So that's what I was hoping you would talk about a little bit, as to help other people understand why you made the decisions that you made at that time.
Yeah, yeah. My dad's like my rock. We've been fighting kind of wars in life back to back, and honestly, from a child on to now, there's been countless things that my dad has done so that my football journey can continue. I've always put football first. I don't think I've ever missed a practice ever in my life. I don't think I've ever missed anything football related in my life, and it's mainly because of my dad. Um, and yeah, when it comes to losing my mom and making sure that making sure that I always was in sporting events, never took time off, never allowed me to like sit and sulk. He's a main reason why I'm successful in anything I do in my life. And so I knew that with the Lord giving me the opportunity to still play football, and knowing that it was going to come in some very, roller coaster ride type ways throughout my football journey. And considering COVID gave a good opportunity to people with eligibility, I didn't see it as something I needed to think too long about. That time when my dad had heart surgery, a lot of people tried to tell me to reason with my dad and even speak on my behalf for my dad, but I would do it 10 out of 10 every time, because I knew that he was also going to be the reason why moving forward in my football career that things were going to go as smooth as they could.
You know, I commend you greatly for the decision process that you went through and the decision that you ultimately made. Um, I don't think people, as you and I have talked offline about um, the importance of time and the fact that, you know, uh, the older you get, the more time flies, and the fact that you can't get that time back. Um, I think people lose sight of the importance of spending time with family and loved ones and making memories, and I think that in that situation, you display not only leadership and character, but you display loyalty in that decision. You're loyal to your dad, and you're loyal to your family. You're loyal to yourself, and you stepped up and did what leaders do. They make tough decisions in tough times, and they live with the consequences of those decisions, and so I can commend you greatly for that. And I don't think that any coach or scout that sees this now or sees this later will fault you for those things. Beyond the family adversity, you had a lot of adversity injury wise. You dealt with different nagging injuries, obviously recovery, rehabilitation, surgery processes. Um, Talk about what that was like, staying motivated through all these different scenarios and trying to find a reason to push through and get healthy again. And what was the ultimate motivation for you to push through these injuries and all these ups and downs and this school didn't have locker rooms and this school was having a hard time and this coach got fired in this, and just talk about that overall. What was it motivation wise that pushed you to continue moving through these things, instead of just saying, you know what, maybe this just isn't for me, maybe God's trying to tell me this isn't the right path. Talk about what it was that pushed you through that.
Yeah, I think offline we talked a lot about this, and I really do appreciate our talks and your insight about confidence and commitment. Um, Speaking firstly to commitment, I mean, my dad is the reason why I'm still playing football. He never let me quit, even though I wanted to quit after my first year of playing football. And I think that in regards to commitment and committing to something that you know that you're confident in, nothing, something that you know and you've done multiple times over and you can see it, um, you don't let the circumstances diminish that because it's so ingrained in you based off of what you've seen. And when in regards to injuries and the structures of programs and not having resources, I didn't have a lot of resources when it comes to training staffs and educating myself on my body in school until I got to essentially Los Medanos. Um, but the great thing about that is that, life doesn't really happen to you. Life just happens. And it's like up to you to understand what's going on in life, to see, the omens, the things that, God provides you along your journey. And I've learned so much about my body and how I want to go about my training, and not having the resources of getting top-notch trainers and physical therapists and things. I learned a lot of that through the time of me not having just a a super solid athletic training staff in my junior college time. So when I was going through these injuries, instead of just spending a lot of my time trying to understand why they happened in the sense of, why me, rather than actually understanding biomechanically why they happened, putting my time thinking more about what I could do rather than why this happened allowed me to continue and allowed me to always stay motivated, because there's times where you don't really feel motivated, but that's where discipline comes in. That's where the investment that you put into something carries over further than actual motivation, because not every day I woke up and was like, oh, I want to go take care of my foot, I want to go take care of this, I want to continue to play football at this moment with a jacked up body. But I understood in the long run what commitment could do and give me the opportunity to flourish in the future. And so I really fell in love with the process of just staying committed and understanding where commitment was going to take me to, and not knowing the results, and kind of having fun not knowing the results. So
Okay. You know, as we compiled your numbers, the best we could with what we had, overall career college wise in the stops that you had, 22 games played, 240 completions, 490 attempts, 2,800 yards, 25 passing TDs, three rushing touchdowns. And then obviously, the interception total being what it was, 24. Some people would look at those numbers and say, he's got an accuracy problem or he holds the ball too long or decision making issues. What would your rebuttal be to that? What would you say that a coach or scout or GM needs to look at beyond just those numbers at that time?
yeah. Well, there's two aspects of it, right? There's the aspect of there's the things that were going against you, and then there's the part of you that you have to hold accountable. And
Right.
I'm not going to sit here and try to convince somebody past of what they're going to evaluate through the stats. But what I could say is when you look at game film, when you look at the whole totality of the structure of these programs, when you look at me at CCC and I'm trying to stay committed to them regardless of how hard it was for 2 years after two injuries, but then going to LMC and seeing my stats elevate. Um, and then going to a program like Alderson Broaddus where you hear things and you hear that the school is closing, I think you can kind of follow along my journey of how things went well according to what things were structure wise. And I'm not saying I need a perfect situation, but when it comes to my self accountability, when it comes to the things that I know I can do on the field, I can tell you that if you give me sustenance, if you give me the security that a quarterback, as a football player at that point, as a person needs within a structure, within a program, I'll give you what you're looking for in terms of a dual threat quarterback, somebody that can make great decisions, somebody that has the arm strength to make all the throws on the field, somebody that has the IQ to learn multiple different offenses, because you can see throughout my journey that each of those things are attached to each of the situations that I've expressed. So I'm not too worried about what my stats show, because what I'm showing on this interview, what I'm showing on my highlight tape, and what I can show in any type of combine or any time of me throwing in front of a coach, it will speak for itself.
Okay. Good answer. Good answer. Now, kind of circle back with the injury thing. So at this point in time, you're completely healthy.
Mhm.
You've gotten past all the injuries. You've been cleared by a sports doctor to resume football activities. No limitations or anything like that at all.
Nope.
Okay. All right. There you go. Um, let's continue on that path a little bit. Talk to me about off-season training regimen. Obviously, in the stage you're at right now, the idea is to stay ready for opportunities as they come about. I'm a big fan of Nick Cannon's Wild and Out TV show. Um, there's a particular episode I remember, and I always talk about that in these interviews. Um, Ti was the celebrity guest, and they're getting ready to do the last game or the last skit, the Wild and Out battle. And Nick looks over at Ti and says, "Hey, you ready? You ready for this battle or whatever?" And Ti says, "You stay ready. You ain't got to get ready."
Right.
Now, obviously, that applies outside of that comedy TV show. It applies in life. It applies in sports. It applies in everyday careers and jobs. If you prepare and you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. So, at this time, as you await a potential opportunity to begin a professional football career, what are you doing to stay ready? And beyond just staying ready, what are you doing to prevent further injuries in the future and to ensure that your body is as flexible as possible, as strong as possible? What are you doing recovery wise to ensure there are no bumps, bruises, bangs, tears? Talk to me about your off-season training program that you've established for yourself. Is it 3 days, 5 days, 7 days a week? Um, Take me through a week with Jaylen training, and talk about the main things you're focusing on. Is it speed and speed and agility? Is it strength and conditioning? Is it recovery? Is it flexibility? Your nutrition? What is it that your main focuses are this time around so that you can hopefully get a professional opportunity and begin climbing that ladder?
Loaded question. I'm gonna give you a loaded answer because that was, and I love speaking on this. Yeah, when not to go too far back of what we are talking about, when you talk about adversity, when you talk about these things that you learn through this time, God's blessed me with educating myself and understanding what my body can and can't do, and what you're just in general, what your body can and can't do just as a human being, and pushing past the plateaus and the precedents of you have this body, you can't be this athletic, you can't do certain things. I've learned past that. I've educated myself in regards to the way that I train, my nutrition, and injury prevention. it's always just something new every day that I'm learning and trying to implement into myself, starting from, head to toe. I got to the point where I'm training my neck. I got to the point where I'm training my toes and my feet, all based off of injuries I've had, and also just off of low hanging fruit things that I've never necessarily knew I needed early on in my career.
Mhm.
So currently, right now, especially due to me working more physical labor type of work right now, I try to microdose my training throughout the week. So I go 5 to 6 days.
Okay.
And I try to incorporate everything. I know that some type of training methodologies want you to focus on certain things for blocks of training throughout the year. Considering that pro leagues start at different times, I kind of want to progress all things together. So, I train speed, I train acceleration, I train power all up and down the force velocity curve. I train strength. I train to get a little bigger in certain areas just to prevent injuries in certain ways and train my tendons and my fascia accordingly. So the start of the week, Monday, I usually go upper body, some type of acceleration work on the field, some power, some plyos, and a lot of rotary work in terms of my upper body lifts. So I'm training for true strength, but I'm also training to be pliable through rotational pulls and pushes and things of that nature that provides a lot of arm care for me as a quarterback. Same thing with lower body. I try to train my pelvis a lot. I train max strength, but I'm also training my pelvis to move through external and internal rotation, training my ankles, my feet, and my knees. Not necessarily, I would say, when you talk about injury prevention too, I kind of realized that you can't truly prevent injury. It's about how prepared you are to apply yourself to certain forces on the field. And I'm training for all those types of forces, not just to stand back in the pocket and throw, but to, to land a certain way, to make jump cuts, to make hurdles, all these type of things. So on my lower body days, I try to train change of direction. Like I said, some rotational work with my trunk, and a lot of single leg stuff because I want to train my ankles and my knees to be really as healthy as possible and as mobile as possible. And I'll get a lot of aerobic conditioning throughout the middle of the week. On Wednesdays and Thursdays, I try to get a little bit more endurance work so I can have a really good cardiovascular system. And when I do break away those long runs, for me to be able to have the breath to complete them. Um, but yeah, and then on top of that, in regards to my field work, I'll do a lot of on the move stuff and a lot of pocket awareness stuff on top of just general mechanics in terms of throwing. And so during this time, I try to add a little bit more throws week by week basis. Some weeks I add a lot more throws. Some weeks I take a break off my arm, but I'm definitely try to throw about 3 to 4 times a week on top of my training.
Okay. All right. Oh, there you go. It froze for just a second. Not a problem. Um, you're absolutely right. I don't think that you can ever prevent. I don't think you can ever do enough to prevent injuries. But like you said, you can do things to prepare for certain situations and incidents that will cause that to happen. And so I think you're on the right track with that. Truthfully, as far as how you're going about, approaching your off season program. Now, is there a portion of that program on field work? Or are you doing a lot of fundamental work as far as throwing and throwing to receivers, like live route running, throwing drills? What are you doing on the field to hone your craft?
Yeah, so outside of like the power work and the plyo work that I do on field for sprinting and a lot of upper body power, when it comes to just strictly throwing, yeah, I'll take some time out to throw to receivers. I actually have receivers at the end of my sessions throw to spots and allow me to do my drills because I definitely try to take time to be intentional with throwing routes and then also time to take and be intentional with, pocket presence, chaos control, essentially throwing off platform and really being deliberate with those type of drills. I also do kind of like what I call like flossing type of drills. You floss your teeth every day. I kind of have flossing like movements from my arm for arm care and also to kind of just fine tune my mechanics when I don't have something I need to throw to. And
Okay.
feet wise, in terms of change of direction and like drops and things of that nature, I can do those things every day, and I try to do them every day.
Okay. Let's talk about schemes. Let's talk about places you've been, schemes you've been a part of. Obviously, when coaches and scouts are evaluating players, they're obviously looking for the right fit, guys that can come in and learn a scheme or fit into a scheme and contribute right away. Talk about the different kind of schemes offensively that you've been a part of throughout your college career, or maybe even going back to your high school career. Um, has it been spread, pro set, I formation, wishbone? Just talk about the different schemes and talk about your responsibilities as a QB and the things you're responsible for in those schemes, and talk about just the general concept of those schemes as well.
Well, pretty much everything besides wing T wishbone. um, but dating back to high school, we did like more West Coast pro style type of scheme,
Okay.
14 word long type plays, running from the coach on the sideline to the huddle to tell a play. A lot of I formation and pro style sets, all under center. So that was my experience in high school. I learned a lot during that because we didn't have a playbook, so I was learning each and every play through just reps and practice and just kind of writing down the sentence long plays for myself. Going into Southern Oregon, we had more of an air raid offense, a lot of screen and a lot of vertical routes downfield, waiting for receivers to get into space type of plays. Um, yeah, and I learned a lot through being an air raid and learning that I could actually push the ball downfield because, you got to have an arm to kind of push the ball downfield in air raid offenses. Going into CC, that was more like true spread, pro spread type of deal. My second year, we went to multiple. So I got the chance to actually go from a lot of spread concepts to some air raid concepts to pro style West Coast concepts all within one. And I got the opportunity to kind of have protection and audibles being my responsibility. So there was a lot of responsibility on the quarterback to get out of plays and to get out of certain routes based off of coverages. And so I learned a lot in terms of having control of offenses during that time. When I got to Los Medanos, it was similar pro spread, very vanilla type of offense, a lot of quick reads, a lot of quick throws, and like a lot of play action at that time. Um, and then at Alderson Broaddus, that was probably my trickiest offense. That was the run and shoot. And it wasn't tricky in the sense of the scheme itself, but that offense requires a lot of chemistry amongst quarterbacks and receivers and a lot of decision making in terms of option routes and things of that nature.
Okay. So, what do you feel that you're most comfortable in? What scheme do you feel fits your skills and abilities best?
Right. I think what fits me best is multiple with emphasis on pro spread. I do like design runs. I do like also getting in multiple sets and having the responsibility as a quarterback to kind of get us out of situations. But like the spread concept of allowing yourself as a quarterback to be a dual threat, I've always enjoyed that playing college football. So I think the biggest thing with me is knowing that I can make quick decisions in offenses and also having the responsibility to kind of get into what I like on the field has always brought me success. So that's what I enjoy the most
Okay.
schematically.
How do you feel about your ability to throw on the run? Let's say it's a scheme where a coach wants to get you outside the pocket and have you throwing on the run a little bit more. How do you feel about that? Are you confident in your ability to throw on the run?
Oh yeah, most definitely. Enjoy my time at CC going on sprint outs out of spread, straight sprint out into um, low, intermediate to high throws. I liked waggle passes and play action boots where, you get out and same type of deal. Yeah, and even creating within myself and going off script and throwing on a run out of a scramble. I've always enjoyed that. I think I had a 55-yard air time throw at Los Medanos just on the run after shaking a defensive end. So it's
Man.
nothing to me. I actually enjoy it because, sitting in the pocket, I've always enjoyed sitting in the pocket and taking hits while throwing. But, when you got to create and when you need a little bit of expansion horizontally on the defense, throwing on the run is always perfect for that.
Yeah, I saw a clip on some of your film where you take off to your left, I believe, and you kind of ad lib a little bit and kind of flip the ball out in front of you to a running back or receiver standing there looking at you. And so,
Yeah.
Do you like sometimes when you're given the freedom to ad lib a little bit on the run, or things kind of break down to kind of ad lib and figure it out for yourself as it goes, or
Most definitely.
do you like more structured environments where things kind of go according to plan?
I'll put it like this. I love it when my structure is great, and I love it when I have the freedom to break out of that structure and make something big happen. Because, I think that as a quarterback, I've learned that the more you try to play into a structure when it isn't there, you'll become robotic. And I can't play it that way because, at the end of the day, I'm a baller and I'm not just a system quarterback.
I hear you. Okay. All right. Okay. Let's talk about community service. That obviously, as a college athlete, as a professional athlete, that is something that you're asked to do quite often and be a part of. Every team, every program has their own thoughts, their own philosophies on that. Whether it's children's hospital, visiting the kids, reading to elementary students, mentoring Boys and Girls Club, Habitat for Humanity, food drives, toy drives, you name it. There's a lot of different things that different programs and different people get involved in. But since you've been, away from a team and a league and a structured environment, are there things that is there anything I should say that you're taking part in now, or things that maybe you've heard about, seen, read about, been told about that you said, when I become a pro athlete, that's something I want to get involved in? And so that's my question to you. What are you doing now, if anything, and what is it that you want to become involved in the future?
Yeah. I, it's always bigger than football, part of the reason why I play football is knowing that you can fellowship with people and you want to go out and tackle a goal that's bigger than each individual. And so, as I expand past football in regards to that, I'm always trying to be involved in the churches I attend and trying to do things for the community and within people that's going in the church. I also try to help out as of recent anything athletically for the youth, because I understand throughout my career that was super helpful to have people to help out when it comes to funding, when it comes to actual coaching, and that's part of the way I was raised. Coming up, it takes a village, and I think that's kind of like similar in regards to what I look forward to being a professional and being able to have the resources and the power to make stuff happen, mainly for the youth, but then also for other places, other spaces, such as helping out the poor and helping out the needy in any way that is. I know it's kind of arbitrary, but just in any way, I love to always help people.
Yeah, and that's helping people is a great thing, and I think the world needs more people to see the value in helping others and doing nice things, kind gestures without without some kind of string attached, or something that comes in return for that. So it's obviously teams, like I said, every team has a different philosophy. I know even the professional indoor and arena and overseas teams do certain things. So it's not something you get away from anytime soon. And a lot of times athletes find things that they find appealing to them as far as the cause and things like that. And and they decide, hey, I want to get involved in that. So it's always interesting to talk to athletes and find out, are there things they're involved in now or things that they've got in the back of their mind that, hey, at some point I intend to get involved with this.
Right.
So
Definitely.
want to talk a little bit about that. Um, let's talk about the last game that's played. The cleats are hung up. Clock hits 0-0-0-0. Football career is over, whether it's your doing or your body says, hey, this is it. Where does Jaylen go next? What's your goals after football?
Yeah, so I've actually something I've been super passionate about and something I'm actually currently working towards as I'm playing football. It just so happens that God has aligned the two things, and that's doing essentially comprehensive, holistic health coaching and consulting. Currently, I'm finishing up my bachelor's degree in psychology, and I've always wanted to be a clinical therapist. But as I've kind of gone about things and thought things over, my passion for learning about the body, learning how nutrition and movement affects psychology. That's something I've kind of wanted to create within a business. So yeah, I definitely have a passion for that, and hopefully, whether it's during my football career or after, I'll have a wife and kids. Um, so yeah, it's something that's gonna allow me to have time to be with my wife and kids, but then also have time to volunteer and go out and do the things like you were saying earlier in terms of community service. Because I think that's going to be really tied to who I am and essentially my brand of being holistic and doing what's right.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's a really neat idea, and I think that you know it sounds like you've taken some time to think about that and really kind of lay out a plan and decide what fits you. You know, um, so I commend you for that. It's most guys want to go into coaching or training athletes or different things, and it sounds like you've kind of gotten a different idea, a different path that you want to go down, and so I hope that works out, and when the time comes that you're able to get started down that road and be successful at it. Um,
Appreciate that.
what, even though we kind of touched on goals after football, what right now, talk about, are there any specific leagues or levels that you're immediately targeting? I know everybody, the final goal is the NFL. I get it. Everybody,
Right.
the end result's always the same. But what is your immediate target? Where are you looking at first and foremost that you want to get your feet wet, become a pro, establish a resume, establish your name? Where are you looking at? What are you most interested in?
Yeah, after educating myself, by you, letting me know what leagues, work best and what don't. Based off of where my resume is right now, I definitely want to get myself planted in the indoor league or the highest leagues of like Germany and really competitive leagues in Europe. I know indoor would be the top of my list, and even potentially going out to Mexico just to, like you said, get my feet wet and also show, at a competitive level to kind of climb myself up in the ranks.
Sure. Yeah, I think those are all possibilities. I think that there will be a lot of teams interested in your services. Obviously, I think the first time we did this, we had a team already showing some interest, and I've already had a coach, even when this interview started, asking for your film. So um, I think you'll have plenty of opportunities to come here very soon. Um, let's kind of change gears. Let's have a little bit of fun here. College football is upon us, and week zero's gone by. Week one is closing out tonight. There's a big game with LSU and Florida State. Who's your favorite college team? And give me your Final Four at the end of the season. Who do you think reaches the Final Four?
Well, my favorite college team is non-existent kind of right now. It's Stanford. Um, they just
Wow.
haven't been.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Yeah, I was a big Andrew Luck fan, and I'm actually a Colts fan, so that hit me hard when Andrew Luck retired. Um, but yeah, my final four, definitely USC is going to be in there. I don't
Oh,
know
okay.
exactly how college football playoffs work, and I know that they kind of came up short last year, but I know they're going to find a way to get USC in there. Um, I don't know too much about other teams in terms of making a Final Four for sure, but I'll do you this because I don't know how rankings and all that stuff works. I've never been big on that. I know that Notre Dame's going to make a big run with Sam Hartman being over there.
Okay.
Um, yeah, and in terms of powerhouses and who's next or whatever, I know Texas is really good, so you could just throw them in. I can be completely off. I know people are probably like, "Why are you saying these names?" I don't because I don't know. Um, Yeah, maybe Alabama. I mean, Alabama for sure. You're always going to play Alabama in there, and I don't think Alabama's going to drop off much. So
Wow. You left out Georgia. You left out Tennessee. You left out Michigan. You left
I don't
out
know who they got starting at quarterback. I don't know where the press is on these teams, Coach. I'm just
you.
watching
And the
ball.
most important one, you even left out Coach Prime in Colorado.
Oh, Colorado's not going to be no Final Four.
I don't
They had
know.
a great game,
Did you
but
watch the game yesterday? They
oh
eliminated
yeah,
a top 20 team right out of the gate. Like a
I
team
just
that
don't
played in
think
the
them.
national championship at that. They got hammered.
Yeah, I mean they did great, but we gonna see how the rest of these games go for them. So.
Well, just talk to me about that real quick then. Let's have a little fun here. Talk to me about Shador Sanders. What did you see from his performance yesterday as a QB now on the D1 level?
Right.
From one QB to another. Give me your evaluation of him.
Yeah, I think the most impressive thing you could say about him is his poise. He looked like he just was meant to be there. And I know it showed statistically, but if you watch like the breakdown of each throw that he's made, even the plays where he was handing the ball off, he's very poised. He didn't literally look scared to take shots down the field. And somebody had made a comment about his deep ball. His deep ball was beautiful. Like there was nothing you could really critique on his deep balls outside of just maybe he overshot him at times. Um, but yeah, I think he was making every throw and he was really on time. So he definitely looked he almost looked NFL ready, you can say. So I think that he'll do good for the rest of the year for sure.
Did you have a chance to watch the game? I mean, like, and just really kind of watch play to play with him, or did you just catch some highlights? Or
No, I watched the game and then I actually watched JT O'Sullivan's QB school and him breaking down his best throws. So
yeah,
I double watched it essentially.
nice, very nice.
Yeah.
Student of the game. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
What'd you think about the other star on that team, Travis Hunter?
Yeah, I think he's really exceptional for him to have the motor to be playing defense and offense and then record like big stats on both. Like I can't really wrap my head around that, but he's going to be something special for sure.
129 snaps yesterday.
Yeah.
I
Well, I
mean,
mean, it probably
just
does help when you're a buck 50 or buck 60 or something, but that's still impressive though.
but I mean, he had an interception. He had over 100 yards receiving. He had a potential touchdown catch. I mean, the kid was all over the place making plays.
Yeah, he's exceptional for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Who do you model your game after? Current or past professional? Who do you model your game after?
Now everybody's gonna like this, but I know we talked about it last time. I want to put the two out of the three guys I'm going to say. I want to put two of them at the top
Okay.
purposely, just to
Okay.
let people know where my mind's at. And that's Brett Favre and Cam Newton,
All right.
because they were ballers, and I think that outside of along with knowing the game and having IQ, you also just kind of have to hold your own in terms of confidence and be able to make plays when they're not there and be
Yeah.
able to have somebody, question you at times, but to be able to make the plays regardless. And lastly, I would say Peyton Manning in terms of like film study and just always knowing where the defense is at before I make a decision. Those three for sure. And then obviously I said Cam Newton, but obviously in terms of running the ball and also being a gamer in that way, that's the reason why I would say those three quarterbacks.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Cam Newton and Favre, Favre was a gunslinger, obviously, and so coaches had to learn with him. You have to take the good with the bad. That there's going to be great throws and great plays, and there's going to be interceptions at times, and it's just part of it. But he's going to win more than he loses, and so I think Cam had that same kind of confidence and courage that he felt like he can make any throw and he can make things happen when something wasn't there. And so I can definitely see that with both of those guys easily. So in the current day, who do you look up to professionally? Who's a guy you kind of watch and really keep an eye on?
Yeah, so if I want to just single it down to one person, I would say Jalen Hurts, and it has nothing to do with the fact that we share the same name. I think that Jalen Hurts, just in regards to what we're speaking of, kind of embodies all of that, like being able to make off-script plays, but then like showing last year that he can be really efficient as a passer, and then him as a runner is a very smart runner, but a very effective runner. And I think that one side of his game doesn't show more than the other side.
Yeah. I the last interview I did with Jerome Brooks, he said the same person, and we talked about there's still a lot of doubters, and through all the doubt and the criticisms, he doesn't go back and respond in the media like some people do. He doesn't kind of get into that whole back and forth kind of deal. He just stays quiet and he just continues to perform and make his point that way. And so it's great answer. I mean, great answer to that question. So, I really appreciate you taking time to redo this. I think the interview turned out a lot better this time. It's been a pleasure as always. Really appreciate it. I know you got some, I'm sure you got other things to do for the weekend, but, just grateful you took time out. And real quick, let everybody know how they can find you on social media, what platforms, and what are the usernames they can look up.
All right, y'all gotta get ready for this because I got a specific Instagram username that's dear to me. It's a nickname that's dear to me, but everybody likes to say something about it. But hey, if somebody's speaking about me, something's going right. For Instagram, it's Tregelicious. It's a nickname from my last name that my Pop Warner coach gave to me. It's TREGALICIOUS 707. That's my area code. For TikTok, let's see. TikTok, it is JAY_area AREA. And then I try to refrain from going on Twitter so much. So Facebook, it's just my name, Jaylen Tregle, as it's shown.
Okay. All right. Well, there you go. There's all the social media platforms. You guys can find him out there and communicate with him. If you have an opportunity available for Jaylen, please feel free to DM me. You can email us. You can call us. That information's on our website, on our social media platforms. You can find Jaylen's profile with this interview, his highlight films, evaluation, contact info, et cetera, by going to our website. If you look at the bottom of the screen, you'll see the information scrolling across the bottom there. Go to the website and click on Professional Prospects on the menu bar. Once you get there, click on his picture or his name, and his profile will open up for viewing. Again, if you have an opportunity, we look forward to hearing from you. And we're excited to see what doors do open and what we can get started and how we climb the ladder from there. So, again, Jaylen, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time today. Hope you have a great rest of your holiday weekend. You and Dad be safe. Enjoy the grilling out and watch some football. Who's your pick tonight? You going with LSU or Florida State?
LSU. I don't know much about Florida State this year, so LSU's got it.
Okay. All right. Well, hopefully the SEC pulls it out, but
Yep.
we'll see. So thank you so much. Have a great day. And thank you for those that joined in. Thank you for the coaches that inquired about Jaylen already. Look forward to hearing from more of you as you see this interview and this profile. So I'll sign off for now, and hopefully we'll see you again here soon in the next few hours today. There's potentially 2 more people that we'll be interviewing, and so we'll see you soon. Thank you so much.